I am Satoshi Nakamoto, the creator of Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. Set out to take money back from central banks, restoring core principles like decentralization and scarcity. My goal was to end an economic experiment that has spiraled completely out of control. Unprecedented monetary expansion, thus giving monetary control back to the people. Well, at least that was my intention.
But I didn't actually create Bitcoin. I wear this mask because a popular internet meme states that we are all Satoshi, that Bitcoin has no leader, no central authority, because Bitcoin was in fact created for the people. My name is Nikolai, and in this series I'm setting out to investigate the current state of Bitcoin adoption. Is it becoming the freedom money it was meant to be? Or is it just another experiment, bound to meet reality? My journey will soon take us halfway across the globe to Central America, the supposed epicenter of Bitcoin adoption. But let's slow down a little bit. Let's start at the beginning and where I am right now, which is the city I live in, Bergen. A small mountainous city in the Kingdom of Norway, known for its natural beauty and strong social welfare. It's a place far removed from struggles of monetary instability, but it also seemed to be a world away from where the real Bitcoin experiment is unfolding. In fact, if we visit btcmap.org, a live map of places that accepts Bitcoin, we find only one store listed in all of Bergen accepting Bitcoin, piercing studio and beauty shop, Witchy Bitchy, run by Henny, the owner and sole employee. Let's start by paying her a little visit. Okay, you're the only shop in Bergen that accepts Bitcoin. When did you start accepting
Actually,
Bitcoin?
I didn't know I'm the only one until you told me. But yeah, what happened during the lockdowns of the COVID, I had some spare time and it looked like things are going crazy in the economy and everything. So I was also interested on the alternative ways of handling money, because it could be that the banks close anytime or the cash is not available, or yeah, all kind of limitations came suddenly and we lost the freedom. I heard about it earlier, but I didn't really have... Actually, I really wish I listened to, because some young people told me 10 years earlier that this is the future, and I'm like, no, what, you're gonna spend your money on some imaginary money out in there? But then I saw that it's actually a real thing and happening, so I thought it would be good if people have used Bitcoin, and I thought if somebody comes and offers, I'm happy to receive. But actually, so far, nobody has shown up in my shop and say, can I pay with Bitcoin?
No one has ever paid with Bitcoin?
No. For a couple of, I think the first 2 years I had to sign by the entrance, like, yeah, we accept Bitcoin. But nobody came and said, I want to pay my piercing or buy a book with the Bitcoin.
I guess you see, as a business owner, you see a lot of the downsides of like card payments.
Yeah, I don't like paying fees, like...
Yeah.
It's every day I can see a few hundred krona is gone just for the fee of using the card. And it's every time the money moves, the government and the banks take some of it, so we get poorer and the banks get richer, which is kind of stupid of us. And it takes a couple of days before I have the money on my account. It would be nice to have it instantly, but okay, we just used to accept it, and that's how it works now. But I mean, I remember when there was all kind of currencies and there was travel checks and there was things, but also I did study a little bit about history of money, and it's very interesting because there's been all kind of forms of money.
Yeah.
Not just gold and silver, but like people use huge rocks and they use boxes of wood and all kind of things could be of seashells,
Yeah.
The whole world of internet and Bitcoin, yeah, it's very interesting. I still believe it has a future, and it's definitely doing better than Norwegian krona, which has gone down in a value like half in the last 12 years. Bitcoin has gone up like, 700%?
Okay, Henny.
Okay, thank you for coming and being interested on me trying to attract some Bitcoin here.
Yeah.
It would be nice to have some.
Yeah.
It
do you have a final appeal to all the Bitcoiners?
So yeah, if you do want to buy something, just come when, maybe with the appointment, because then we have to figure out how to do the transaction, unless you know very well how to do it and show me. But yeah, welcome.
always strikes me as someone who truly values her freedom.
And we lost the freedom of the government and the banks take some of it.
And our conversation in many ways aligns with the idea of Bitcoin as freedom money. However, there is something that troubles me. Because how is it possible that over the years that Henny has been on BTC Map, no one has come into her store and wanted to pay with Bitcoin? We seem to have stumbled upon an important issue here. Because by the time we reach 2025, Bitcoin have become a well-known phenomenon. Bitcoin frequently makes headlines, with rising prices and new high-profile investors and politicians embracing it. And many compare Bitcoin to digital gold, an escape from our debt-based, inflation-driven monetary system. But can Bitcoin truly function as freedom money if it's only being held like gold in a vault and not used in transactions? Wouldn't that just turn Bitcoin into a store of value that coexists with the current monetary system? And in that case, will Bitcoin foster decentralization and scarcity, or will it merely serve as a safe harbor for those who already have the largest boats? Although the familiar mountains of Bergen give me a broader sense of perspective, I'm starting to realize that if I'm going to get any answers to all these questions I have and figure out whether Bitcoin is becoming freedom money, I'll likely have to leave Bergen and probably even the financially secure kingdom of Norway. Actually, let's turn back time a little here. Because Bitcoin was designed in 2008 by its anonymous creator Satoshi Nakamoto, who in 2011, shortly after the Bitcoin network was self-sustaining, chose to mysteriously disappear. And the fact that Bitcoin is still in its infancy, combined with its decentralization and absence of any CEO, president or institution that governs its distribution, has made widespread adoption seem like a very distant prospect. For years, Bitcoin primarily appealed to individuals seeking financial independence and perhaps innovation. After a few years, small communities such as Bitcoin Beach in El Salvador emerged. They sought to create an ecosystem centered around Bitcoin, yet Bitcoin's overall adoption remained notably limited. But then in 2021, something unprecedented happened when the entire country of El Salvador in Central America took a rather bold step. On June 9, 2021, El Salvador's National Assembly voted to approve a new law that made Bitcoin legal tender, allowing it to be used for payments alongside the US dollar, which had been the country's official currency since 2001. This decision marked a historic moment, as it was the first country in the world to adopt Bitcoin as an official currency. The Bitcoin law in El Salvador drew significant international attention and sparked discussions globally, but it also seemed to ignite regional interest in Bitcoin in Central America. Panama passed legislation to make the use of Bitcoin easier, aiming to position itself as a Bitcoin-friendly hub. Meanwhile, in Guatemala, interest in Bitcoin seemed to grow, with a few businesses starting to accept it and small communities inspired by Bitcoin Beach forming. In other words, Central America seemed like the place that can provide me with some answers, and therefore I start planning my journey accordingly. So I'll begin by flying to Colombia. Colombia is located at the northern tip of South America, and I guess Colombia is sort of functioning as a gateway to Central America. From Colombia, I can easily travel to El Salvador and Guatemala before I conclude my exploration in Mexico. Mexico is technically part of North America, and therefore marks the transition out of Central America. I pack a bag with a few essentials: recording equipment, passport, and a pair of swim shorts. However, I probably won't need the shorts just yet, because before I reach the warm and welcoming climate of Colombia, I first need to make a stop in Norway's capital Oslo, where there is someone that I'm hoping can help me prepare for the journey. Benedicte Bull, a renowned expert on Latin American economies and politics. My research has led me to Latin America. I was hoping that you could help me understand. Are there any factors that you would point to in order to explain that Latin America seems to be a place that is adopting this very new decentralized monetary network that Bitcoin is?
Yes, I think I would point to three issues. One is a kind of, in many countries, a distrust of their own currency because of inflation, because of all sorts of bad management. So they search for a new kind of reference. I think in countries like Venezuela, that's definitely a big issue. The existing system has just basically collapsed in some countries. That kind of general distrust in your own currency and your own system. I think that's one. The other factor is migration. So I think people they need something that works transnationally and that can go across border. And so, something that's efficient, a way to get money when they have to move to a different country or receive money from relatives abroad. And Latin America is on the move. People from almost everywhere want to move. Venezuela is a big issue, 7.7 million Venezuelans have left, but there's also Argentinians want to go. Even Chileans, because of violence and organized crime, increasingly want to move. So it's a region on the move. And of course, the fact that they have, apart from Brazil, have the same language facilitates that. You can move to a different country and speak the language. And they also have very open borders within Latin America. And the third point I would say is that some countries, like El Salvador, they had already given up their own currency. So there's two processes. There's this adoption from below, and I think that's facilitated by the lack of trust in your own currency and also migration. There's this kind of more from above is also facilitated by the fact that several countries already has changed their own currency for the dollar. El Salvador, Ecuador, Panama, and Argentina. Let's see what's going to happen. That was the promise of Javier Milei when they got into power, which is precisely because of instability. And that means that all the disadvantages of not having your own currency have already been taken on. So it's not that much to lose, in a way, by adopting it from above.
What about the bank industry? Can they generally trust the banks?
In most countries, there's now a big chunk of international banks. Actually, in El Salvador, they sold basically all the local banks to international banks. So it's a long time since you've had a real banking crisis in Central America, that banks collapse. But many of them don't really offer products that are accessible for everybody. So there's still a lot of people without a bank account. And that is one of the arguments for introducing Bitcoins. To get a bank account, you need to show that you have a formal income, maybe, or that you have some property, or some other conditions that they don't fulfill. So people are really technologically savvy in many of these countries, at least the young crowd. So we think of indigenous people as those that live in little huts and wear indigenous clothes and make their tortillas. And there's indigenous influencers, there's indigenous probably Bitcoiners, I'm pretty sure. So and actually I came to Central America first time in 1996. I was then taught to use technology that we hadn't adopted here. So we shouldn't think that just because there's all these traditional things, they're not technologically savvy. And they often have to be, because public institutions don't really work well in digital manners for the most part. But then people find their own solutions. Have a great trip and keep your eyes open and ask questions.
Now that Benedicte has given us a solid foundation for understanding Latin America, there's really only one more person you need to meet before I set off for Colombia.
Hey, Nick.
Hi, Caro. That is Carolina, my traveling companion and translator. In just a few days, I'll join her in Medellin, and you'll soon discover just how important she's going to be on this journey.
Do you see any Bitcoin activity or adoption?
Not really.
Okay.
I will say I've seen some ATMs on shopping centers.
Okay, that's a good
something
start.
like that.
Yeah.
But
Then we can
not
withdraw some
really like
cash.
a huge movement if we compare with some other countries.
Sure. I expect like El Salvador and Guatemala is going to be more like Bitcoin territory.
Yeah.
I'm a bit worried though how we will get in touch with Bitcoiners in Medellin and in Colombia. How will we get in touch with Colombians in general?
Yeah, Colombians we're very open and extrovert, so there's not gonna be an issue for us to
that's
get
good.
in touch with them.
Yeah, that's good.
So
It's not like Norwegians.
but I was thinking on something, maybe like printing some t-shirts with like a Bitcoin logo, maybe
Right.
that somehow people will be like curious.
That's a really good idea. Then people will hopefully get in touch with us rather than we having to chase people down.
Yeah.
Why don't I make like a logo? And maybe you can be in charge of printing some t-shirts.
I know the place.
All right.
I guess I see you in a few days.
Absolutely. Okay.
That'd be good.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
It's time to board my plane and begin the investigation. I feel a mix of excitement and apprehension about what lies ahead. Will I uncover real examples of Bitcoin adoption? Or are the rumors coming out of El Salvador and Central America maybe a bit exaggerated? Benedicta outlined 3 potential factors driving Bitcoin adoption in Latin America: distrust in institutions, migration, and currency instability. But she also emphasized a deeper distinction, perhaps one that goes to the heart of Bitcoin's identity as freedom money, namely the contrast between top-down and bottom-up adoption. On one hand, government-led legislation, and on the other, grassroots community-driven initiatives. This dichotomy raises important questions. Can Bitcoin truly serve as a tool for financial freedom for the people? Or can it perhaps be steered in a different direction by powerful players? And perhaps most importantly, will I have the courage to ask the critical, potentially unpopular questions along my way?